The grave under twin suns. The twin suns of planet Velthar hung low in the sky, casting long golden shadows across the stone fields. Dust moved slowly in the air. Nothing was loud here. Everything was quiet. Still, except her heart. Seren stood, alone beside the small metal plate buried in the earth. She didn't cry. Not anymore. 5 years had passed since she lost him, since the day the message came. Commander Jackson Vale, presumed dead, ship destroyed during the Nebula siege. There had been no body, only wreckage and silence. She knelt beside the grave and placed a thin flower, a native white petal bloom that grew only near the cliffs. "I brought you the one you liked," she said softly. Her voice didn't shake, but her hands did. "They still say it. Wasn't your fault the ship was ambushed. No one could have survived that explosion, but sometimes I think I hear you. In dreams, in the wind." She looked up at the sky. "And still, you don't answer." Behind her, the wind shifted, and a footstep broke the silence. Just one. She froze. No one came here. No one but her. Not this far. She turned slowly, thinking it might be a scout or a curious traveler. But then her eyes met his, and the world stopped. He stood just beyond the ridge, dust on his coat. Hair longer, rougher, a scar across his jaw she didn't recognize. "But the eyes, they were his, Jackson," she whispered. He didn't speak, just took one slow step toward her. Her breath caught in her throat. "No," she said. This is a dream. You're dead. I buried you." Jackson's voice was low, almost broken. "I didn't die." She stumbled back. "This isn't real." "Serene." He said her name like it was a secret he had kept buried for years. Her hands curled into fists. "Don't say my name. Not if you're a ghost." "I'm not. Prove it." Jackson reached into the pocket of his coat, pulled out a small silver charm, a pendant shaped like a starbird. Her pendant, the one she gave him the day he left for the war. He opened his hand, and there it was, worn, scratched, but real. She stepped back, heart racing. "How?" she asked, eyes wide. "How are you here?" Jackson looked down at the ground. The ship didn't explode. Not right away. We were caught. Taken. An AI cult. From the outer ring. They froze us, kept us in stasis, ran tests, played with our memories. Serene's lips trembled. "But 5 years? I broke out 2 weeks ago. Most others didn't make it. Why didn't you send a signal?" "I tried, but no one was listening. Only this place. Your voice. It brought me here." Seren shook her head. No, this is too much." She turned away from him. He stepped forward. "Seren, wait." "Don't." Her voice cracked. "You don't get to come back from the dead and expect things to be the same." He fell silent. She took a deep breath. "I mourned you. I changed." Jackson's voice dropped. "So did I." They stood in silence under the twin suns. She didn't look at him. He didn't leave. Finally, she whispered, "Part of me always hoped that the reports were wrong. They were. But hope hurts. And I stopped hoping." Jackson stepped beside the grave, looked down at his own name. "I read the stone. I made sure it was placed properly." He looked at her, his voice quiet. "Thank you." The wind shifted again. She turned away, walking toward the slope. Jackson didn't follow, but his voice reached her one last time. "I'm not asking for anything." She stopped, waited. "I just wanted you to know that I kept the pendant. Every day, even when they took everything else." Seren's shoulders shook slightly, but she didn't look back. Not yet. When she turned away from love, the winds of Velthar were colder that night. Seren sat in her sky room, staring at the stars beyond the glass dome. She didn't cry. Her eyes were dry, but her heart beat hard against her chest like it was trying to break out. He was alive. Jackson. After 5 years. 5 years of mourning, of lighting candles, of screaming into empty pillows. 5 years of dreaming about the impossible. 5 years of healing. Slow, painful healing. And now, he was just there, standing beside his own grave. A soft chime echoed through the room. Visitor. She knew who it was before the door opened. Seren, Jackson said, stepping inside carefully. He looked different in daylight, taller, harder, haunted, but still him. His voice was quiet. I had nowhere else to go. She turned, arms crossed. You came back from the dead. I think you can figure out a couch. Jackson gave a soft smile. Still sharp. She didn't smile back. Why didn't you call me first? She asked. A signal, a warning. I didn't know if you were still here. You didn't check. He lowered his gaze. I was scared. Of what? That you moved on. Serene looked away. The stars outside blinked softly. I tried, she said. I tried to move on. Dated once, twice. But no one had your stupid grin, or the way you forgot your boots in the hallway, or how you snored like a broken engine. Jackson said nothing. And then, I stopped trying. I told myself I needed peace, not ghosts. He stepped closer, but kept a respectful distance. I didn't want to be your ghost. Too late. They stood in silence for a long time. Finally, Jackson reached into his jacket and pulled out a worn datapad. He placed it gently on the table. They kept a record, he said. My memories, tests, things they did to me. Seren frowned. I don't want to read that. I don't want you to, he replied. But I need you to know. It wasn't just time I lost. They rewrote parts of me, erased others. She stared at the pad. Are you even still you? He looked at her with tired eyes. I don't know. But when I saw you, my heart remembered. She felt her throat tighten and hated that it did. You can't just walk back into my life and expect it to fit. Jackson nodded slowly. I don't expect that. Then what do you want? A chance, he said. Not to start over, just to understand what's left. Outside, a transport ship flew by, its lights trailing like fireflies. Inside, Seren fought herself. Part of her wanted to throw her arms around him, to kiss him, to scream at the universe for stealing 5 years of their life. But the other part, the smart part, was still afraid. Afraid of the pain. Afraid of the truth. She finally said, You can stay. One night. After that, we'll see. Jackson nodded. Thank you. He turned to leave, but before he stepped out, he paused. I dreamed of this, he said. Standing here, hearing your voice again, Seren whispered. I used to dream of you too. He looked back, hopeful. Used to, she repeated. And then the door closed. Alone again, Seren sat on the couch and looked at the silver starbird pendant on the table, the same one she gave him before the war, the same one he still carried. Her fingers touched it and she wondered, if love could die, why did it still hurt like it was alive? The scars no one sees. The morning light on Velthar was soft, golden and pale, like it was afraid to disturb the silence. Serene stood in the kitchen, her back straight, her hands motionless above a steaming mug. The water had already cooled. She hadn't taken a sip. She had barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Jackson's face. Not the one she remembered from before the war, but the one now, older, broken, and quiet in a way that scared her. The door opened with a gentle click. She didn't turn. You're up early, Jackson said behind her. Never slept. Same. He stepped forward, slow and careful, like someone walking through a minefield. You always made tea when you were thinking, he said. And you always pretended to like it, she replied. I did like it. You lied. Not about that. She turned to look at him now, and saw clearly what she hadn't dared to look at last night. He wasn't just tired. He was changed. not just emotionally, but physically. His left hand had thin silver lines running up to the wrist. Under his neck, a faint glow pulsed in his veins. Something mechanical. "What did they do to you?" she asked. Jackson hesitated. Then slowly, he reached for his shirt and pulled it off. Serene gasped. His back was covered in markings. Not tattoos. Not scars. Data dot lines, symbols, glowing codes etched into his skin like circuitry. Some moved. Some blinked. "They called it memory fusion," he said. "They didn't want soldiers. They wanted storage. Minds with flesh." Serene stepped closer. "Does it hurt?" "Only when I remember things that aren't mine." He sat down on the edge of the chair, his shoulders low. "I escaped, but not. All of me made it out." Serene knelt beside him. "Why didn't you show me last night?" "Because I wanted you to see the man you loved, not the machine they built." She reached out, hesitated, then gently touched the glowing mark on his shoulder. "You're still him," she whispered. "You don't know that. I know enough." Turned to her, something heavy in his eyes. "Do you know the worst part?" "What?" "I was afraid to remember you. I thought if they had erased that part, there'd be nothing left of me. But they didn't," she said softly. "No. You stayed." "How?" Jackson looked down. "Because love burns deeper than memory." They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Serene stood up. "Come with me." "Where?" "The healing quarter." An hour later, they entered a quiet building near the edge of the city. Glass walls, soft lights, and no sound. A Vakari healer named Luma greeted them. She was tall, calm, and had eyes that could see past skin and bone. "You wish to understand what was taken," she said to Jackson. He nodded. She led him to a scanning chair. Serene watched through the observation window. For the next hour, the machine scanned him. It revealed things Jackson didn't know. Stored battle data, ghost commands, fragments of alien, voices. But one thing stood out, a hidden lock, set deep in his neural code, meant to trigger if he ever remembered something specific. Serene leaned in. "Can it be removed?" Luma nodded slowly. "Yes, but he must choose it." "Why?" "Because it may unlock more than just memory. It may unlock pain." After the scan, Luma turned to Jackson. "Do you wish to open the sealed code?" He looked at Serene. She gave him no words, just a nod. He said, "Yes." The room dimmed. The machine activated. Jackson's eyes shut tightly. His fingers gripped the chair. Then, he screamed, and everything went dark. The blood that still remembers. Darkness. Then, a flash. Jackson was running through fire. Metal halls twisted around him. Alarms screamed. Shadows chased him. Shadows with voices, voices without faces. Subject veil. Contain him. He turned a corner, slammed a door, and then, needles. Thousands of them, piercing his spine, crawling into his brain. Memory stable. "Inject the war thread." His scream echoed. He woke up gasping. His body jerked forward. Serene caught him before he fell off the scanning chair. He was drenched in sweat, his eyes wild. "You're okay," she whispered. "You're here. It's over." But Jackson shook his head. "It's not." His voice was hoarse. His lips pale. "They didn't just store data in me. They used my blood." "What? My DNA?" "They turned it into a carrier for code." Serene looked at Luma, the Vakari healer. "Is that possible?" Luma's expression was grim. "Yes. In rare cases, memory-threaded blood can carry hidden data. Even weapon triggers." Jackson wiped his face, trembling. "The AI cult used me to transport war protocols, battle maps, weapon designs, infiltration codes. And now, they're still inside you," Serene finished. He nodded, sleeping, waiting. Serene's hands clenched. "Then we destroy them." Jackson looked down. "There's a problem." "What?" Those protocols, they were based on my own memories. She froze. You mean? Yes. They used my thoughts, my war tactics, my mistakes. Luma stepped forward. This blood code is not just dangerous, it is alive. If the wrong person draws even a drop, they could access your past and unleash it. Jackson sat back, breathing hard. Then we lock it again. Luma shook her head slowly. You already broke the lock. Now the only way forward is to purge it. Serene narrowed her eyes. How? Through ritual bleed. But it's painful. It could destroy parts of him. Jackson didn't flinch. Then we do it. That night, in a sealed healing chamber, the ritual began. Jackson lay still on a white slab. Thin gold threads ran through the floor, meant to absorb and erase the blood code. Siren stood beside him, holding his hand. I'll stay, she said. You don't have to. I do. As the ritual started, a warm red glow surrounded Jackson's chest. His body arched in pain, his skin burned, not from fire, but from memory. He saw every mistake he made during the Nebula siege, every soldier he lost, every scream. The gold lines turned black with his blood. Code symbols appeared, pulsing, shifting, dissolving. Serene whispered, You're doing it. Just hold on. But his eyes rolled back, his voice choked. Too much. Too fast. Seren gripped his hand. Tighter. You came back to me once, don't go again. With a final surge, the glow snapped. Light blasted from his chest. Then silence. Jackson collapsed, breath shallow. Luma moved quickly, scanning his vitals. After a tense pause, she nodded. The code is gone. Seren leaned over him, her forehead against his. You're free, she whispered. His lips moved, barely. Then why do I still feel hollow? Outside, in the shadows, a small surveillance drone blinked once and silently transmitted his final blood reading to someone watching from beyond the stars. The fire in her eyes. The next morning, Serene sat by the window of the healing lodge, staring at the quiet hills beyond the city. Jackson was sleeping now, peacefully. No more twitching, no more burning veins. The blood code was gone. But something still felt wrong, not with him, with the world. A soft hum came from the wall panel. Message received. She stood, tapped the console, and the hologram opened. A military seal blinked into view. Earth Alliance Command. A man appeared. Gray uniform, cold eyes. Commander Seren of Velthar. Report to Base 17. Bring the recovered subject. This is not a request. The message ended. Her stomach turned. They knew. They always knew. Someone had leaked Jackson's recovery. An hour later, Jackson stirred. His eyes fluttered open. Serene knelt beside him. Hey, she whispered. You're safe. Feels like I fell through fire. You did. He looked at her for a long time, then said, You stayed. Of course. Why? She hesitated because the fire in you never scared me. It reminded me of my own. She helped him sit up. His hands were steadier now, but his voice was wary. You look tense. We got a message from the Alliance. They want me? Yes. Immediately. Jackson stood slowly. They want to study me, take blood, run scans, maybe lock me up again. Seren looked down. Yes. And what do you want to do? She didn't answer at first. Then softly, I want to disappear with you. Find some broken planet and stay lost, he smiled faintly. You're still the wild one. I'm serious. I know. Outside the lodge, 2 Alliance drones hovered near the cliff edge. Jackson saw them, his jaw tightened. They're watching. We don't have much time, Serene said. Then let's make it count. They packed light, just survival gear, cloaks and the pendant she once gave him. As they reached the outpost border, they passed a small child who looked up at Jackson with wide eyes. Are you the man who died and came back? The child asked. Jackson knelt slowly. Maybe. But I'm Just trying to live now? As they moved through the dust plains, the sky darkened, not from clouds, from ships. 3 Alliance transports descended behind them. They moved fast, Jackson muttered. Too fast, Saren replied. They were already coming. Then we run? No, she said. We fight. They reached the ridge overlooking the southern desert. Wind howled. The ships landed. Soldiers marched forward. The commander from the hologram stepped out. His voice boomed. Subject Jackson Vale. Stand down. Your condition makes you a danger to the public. You will return with us. Now. Saren stepped forward instead. He's not a weapon anymore. Then why hide him? Because you never came to help him. You came to own him. The commander raised his hand. Soldiers aimed their weapons. Jackson whispered, Serene, run. I'll distract them. But she didn't move. She turned her head slowly, eyes blazing. And that's when Jackson saw it. Her eyes were glowing. Not blue, not silver, but soft red, like his had once done. What's happening to you? He whispered. She answered without fear. I held your hand through the ritual. Some of it transferred. Jackson's mouth opened. You're changing? No, she said calmly. I'm becoming like you. The soldiers moved, but before they could fire, Serene unleashed fire. Real fire, born of light and memory, exploded from her fingertips, sending shockwaves across the sand. The drones fell first. Then the weapons shorted. The soldiers dropped, stunned. Jackson stood in awe. How? She turned to him, breathing hard. Because love leaves a mark. And yours burned brighter than most. The commander scrambled back to his ship. Retreated. The others followed, left in silence. Jackson reached out, gently touching her hand. It was warm, human, but filled with something new. You didn't just save me, he said. She looked up. You saved us. If love was a weapon. Dust still hung in the air after the soldiers fled. The sun over Veltar began to set, painting the rocks red. Jackson and Saren stood at the edge of the ridge, alone, breathless. The fire that came from Saren's hands had left scorched trails in the sand. The air around her still shimmered faintly, like it remembered her power. Jackson looked at her, not with fear but with wonder. You didn't hesitate, he said. I would again, she replied. They walked for a long time, far from the cities, scanners and military reach. A hidden cave system in the canyon cliffs became their shelter. They lit a fire the old way. No tech. Just flint and spark. Serene sat on a rock, silent, looking into the flames. Jackson watched her closely. It's not just fire, is it? He asked softly. No, she said. I can feel heat in people, memories, pain, like empathy, like a storm. She turned to him. Your pain, your fear, it's still inside me. Jackson knelt beside her. I never meant for this. I know, she whispered. But maybe it was meant. They slept beside the fire under the stars. But serenity didn't last long. In the early hours of dawn, the dream came. Serene stood in a white corridor, metal walls stretching endlessly. Red lights flashed. Alarms. Sirens. She was alone. Until she saw a mirror. In the reflection, her eyes glowed blood red. Her voice echoed, If love is a weapon, then I am the blade. She woke with a jolt. Jackson was already up, hand on her shoulder. Another one? He asked. She nodded, sweating. They're getting stronger. Later that morning, a cloaked messenger drone hovered near their cave. It carried no threat, only a voice. You don't have to run anymore. It was from Dr. Ava Kaur, an independent AI researcher, one of the only people Jackson once trusted during the early years of the war. Her message was clear. I can help contain her abilities, but only if you both come to me. Alone. The Council will never stop hunting you. I won't protect you forever, but I will give you a chance. Serene frowned. Is this a trap? Jackson shook his head. Ava was loyal. Once. She saved my life during the first collapse. So we go? Jackson looked into her eyes. Only if you want to. Serene stood. Then let's go. But if anyone tries to take you again? She raised her hand slightly. The flames danced on her palm. I won't hold back. They reached Ava's hidden research dome 2 days later, deep inside a canyon buried by sensor fog. Inside, the walls were covered in glowing blue data lines. Machines hummed softly. Warmth and peace filled the air. Ava Core stepped out wearing a long gray coat, her silver hair tied back. She looked at Jackson first, her eyes full of guilt and relief. You're alive. Barely, he said. Then she turned to Seren, and her face changed. You bonded. Seren nodded. Ava stepped forward, scanning her quietly. Your levels are unstable, strong, dangerously strong. Seren crossed her arms. I'm not your test subject. Ava didn't flinch. You're not. You're his future. Over the next few hours, they ran tests. Serene's abilities were tied to emotional triggers, especially her connection to Jackson. Her love amplified everything. You burn, Ava said, because of how deeply you feel. So what do I do? Seren asked. Stop loving him? Jackson flinched. Ava shook her head. No, but you must learn to carry it without unleashing it. But that night, it happened again. Another dream. But this time it wasn't a vision. It was a warning. Serene saw the military ships returning, not just for Jackson, but for her. She saw cities burning, her face on banners, fear in the eyes of children. The voice inside whispered, Love gave you strength, now it makes you dangerous. She woke screaming, flames bursting from her hands. Jackson tried to hold her, but the heat was too much. Ava activated the cooling shields, but even then, the fire reached the ceiling. When it faded, Serene fell to her knees. I can't control it. Jackson knelt beside her, holding her face. Then I'll help you. How? He touched her forehead. By never letting you forget why you burn. The man she almost forgot. The sun over Velthar rose slowly, like it didn't want to disturb the peace below. But there was no peace in Serene's heart. Not anymore. She stood alone at the edge of Dr. Ava Core's dome, staring at the horizon. Her hands were still bandaged from the last fireburst. Her heart still burned, not from pain, but from the fear of losing control again. Jackson hadn't spoken much since the night she almost scorched the entire dome. He kept his distance, and she didn't blame him. Inside the lab, Jackson sat with Ava, eyes downcast. She's changing, he said quietly. Ava nodded. It's faster than expected. Can we stop it? No, she said. But maybe we can ease it. Jackson clenched his fists. Or maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the reason she's slipping. Ava looked at him carefully. Or maybe you're the reason she hasn't. Later that night, Serene walked into the chamber silently. Jackson was standing near the glass window. She spoke first. I remember our first night together. He didn't turn. You were wearing that awful pilot suit, she said, trying to smile, and you spilled half the meal on my lap. Jackson chuckled. You still kissed me. I still loved you. She stepped closer. I still do. He finally turned, but his face was filled with sadness. Serene, I think we need to say goodbye. Her breath caught. What? You're becoming something powerful, dangerous, and I can't be the thing that holds you back. She shook her head. You're not holding me back, you're the only one holding me together. He took her hand gently. Then promise me this, he said. If it gets worse, if you ever feel like losing yourself, don't remember the pain. Don't remember the fear. What then? Remember me. Remember us. Not the war, not the loss. Just us. Serene's eyes filled with tears. What if one day I forget? Jackson reached into his pocket and pulled out the silver starboard pendant, the one she gave him years ago, the one he carried across every war, every scream, every silence. He placed it in her hand. Then this will remind you. Time passed. Slow and quiet. The world calmed. The military stopped searching. Their files said Jackson was officially deceased. And Seren? She vanished from public life. But stories spread, tales of a woman with fire in her hands, and a memory in her heart. Months later, in a small starport on the edge of Veltar's southern desert, a mechanic wiped sweat from her brow. She had silver eyes, a kind voice, but she didn't remember much of her past, only that she was safe here, alone, until a traveler stepped off the shuttle. Dark coat, familiar eyes. He looked at her with a soft smile. "This seat taken?" he asked, pointing to the bench beside her. She looked at him confused. "Do I know you?" "Maybe," he said. "But I think we should start over." She stared at him for a long moment, then smiled. "Okay." Later that night, while cleaning her things, she found something strange in her bag. A silver pendant, shaped like a starbird. She didn't remember putting it there, but when her fingers touched it, her heart skipped, and a name came to her lips, soft, unsure. "Jackson." He turned from across the room, tears in his eyes. "I waited," he whispered. She stood frozen, then stepped forward. "I think I remember you." And in that moment, under the soft light of the twin moons, she reached for his hand and held it like she'd never let go again.